It's murder! Woo, girl! Woo, y'all! Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pam Lissa. We finna get right into this OP Valley, child. It is too much going on in Chucalissa. Woo, child, that little town is jumping for no reason. Listen, we're watching, we're discussing season 2, episode 8, entitled Death Drop. Baby, when you talk about a title that lives up to its name, this is a title that lives up to its name, child. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Listen, let's get into this. We're going to go down. We're going to go through in order this time what's going on in Chucalissa. We're going to try to get through it as quickly as possible, child. First of all, we come in, we see Mercedes. She's practicing on the pole. And even after Diamond has, I guess, took that hank off her arm is still, her shoulder is still sore. So she is having problems with performing her routines. And baby, she just flopping around there. She's not as smooth as she used to be. And according to Uncle Clifford, it's a psychological thing. But Mercedes doesn't understand that, and she doesn't see that. I think she does, but she doesn't want to admit it. And because she needs the money, she can't sit around and not perform. Because, remember was the last episode or the episode before last, she lost her gig with Coach because the wife, who I told y'all, didn't want Mercedes to be with her husband, so she sabotaged it. That's what I saw. Y'all can argue with your mamas about that. All right, let's continue to move on. Uncle Clifford tells Lil Murder that he's very secretive and quiet. Lil Murder's like, I thought we went past this. Uncle Clifford's like, no. In the meantime, because he's cutting, Uncle Clifford is cutting Lil Murder's hair, and he's got like Lil Murder, I guess he's touching it up. And Lil Murder is holding the phone because Uncle Clifford is trying to get in contact with the hospital to get an update on Miss Ernestine, grandmother. The hospital's like, look, you don't call here 45 minutes ago. There's no update and there's no word. Which to me is odd. They could at least tell her that, she's in the room and she's resting quietly, or, something that they could tell him. But they're not telling him anything. Lil Murder is trying to explain to Clifford that, what they had, the sex that they had meant a lot because, they didn't use a condom. That should let him know how much he trusts Uncle Clifford. And then they go back and forth about who you been with. But anyway. So that gets unresolved. Uncle Clifford leaves Lil Murder there. So then we see old Mercedes again. She's, doing her daily jog. I did not realize that her dog was named Blackie Miles. Ooh, some hood. That just tickled me. But anyway, she's running and she sees all of these like gang guys hanging around her place. And then she finds out her neighbor, Maine, is back. He's out of jail apparently with the Vi-Vi. Because you remember he went to jail for something. I think he violated his probation or something like that. And so he was in jail for the violation. And apparently the vid was going through the jail and they was just like, hey, we don't want to pay for all y'all getting, medical bills for that. So they just pushed him out. And so, he tells Mercedes that he's back. He still has a crush on Mercedes. I think they had a little tete-a-tete back in the day. I'm not sure. But they act like they did. So he tells her he wants to see her other night. But I just got so tickled that the dog was named Blackie Miles. But anyway, it moves on and we see Haley sitting in the diner. And she meets Keyshawn there. You remember last episode, Haley pulled offered a lifeline to Keyshawn if she wanted to get out of the situation that she was in. So, I guess they had been in communication because Keyshawn gives Haley the documents, the birth certificates, and Haley is going to get passports made for Keyshawn. And she tells Keyshawn, you need money to get out of town or to get away from Derek. So she offers her to work back at the Pink. And she tells her, basically, give Derek the money off the floor, but you're going to keep the money from the door so that you can leave and you can get away. So I guess the passports is for Keyshawn to go to another country, to do whatever. But anyway, it just gives her options that she can leave. While they sitting there, child, poor Andre. Remember, Andre's running for mayor. Child, all of a sudden, all across the TV screen, you see all of Andre's tea get spilled. Because Andre did a whole speech about, his mother being a drug addict and his father being dead. We find out, Andre's father is not dead. Abraham, he's on death row for murder. So, Corbin is he's 102 degrees hot. Because he talked to Andre about, hey, I told you to tell me what your secrets are so we can get ahead of this. But you didn't say anything that your father's in jail. And now we're going to be losing in the polls because you lied. And Andre's trying to save face. But basically Corbin told him, you ain't paying for crap. And so until you start paying for your own campaign, you need to be making sure I know everything what's going on. And then what's so funny, honey, Patrice Woodbine's information gets put out there too. But baby, she owns it up. She's like, you're not going to spray me with my own tea. I'm going to tell you I'm a hoe. She said she's a hoe. She was a hoe. You should have seen she did all this stuff on her knees. But she has repented and is born again. And now she is a pastor and she wants to be the next mayor of Chucalissa, child. And Corbin was so pissed off. He was like, at least she owns what... He said, I can respect her and respect her honesty. At least she owns her past. You just lie about yours. So, honey, it moves on to Derek. He's buying Keyshawn's gifts and everything like that. Because I think he senses a change in Keyshawn. Keyshawn is trying very hard to make sure that Derek doesn't know that she is trying to leave. But I think Derek already senses it. Because he has like a little mild breakdown because he bought her some Louboutins and the Louboutins didn't fit. And he's just like beating on his head. I can't do anything right. I can't do anything right. Just want somebody to feel sorry for him. But Keyshawn tells him that, hey, she needs to go back to work at the Pink. He doesn't want her to go back to work at the Pink because you remember Diamond almost beat Derek down to the ground at the Pink, but we find out, the reason why Derek was able to hold his own is because, he used to be a cheerleader and he worked out and he did all those other things. Excuse me. So, she convinces Derek that she's going to go work at the Pink. Meanwhile, Haley goes sees the lady who is now over the dealings with the casino. And I think her name is Georgie. I can't remember what her name is. She goes into the hairdresser's where she's getting her hair done. And the hairdresser is so, you know how they are. The poorest white person thinks that they are better than the richest black person. And she talks to Haley some kind of way. Baby, Shaniqua is down the street if you want to get your hair done. And Haley says, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. So she talks with Georgina, and Georgina is doubling down on the $5 million that she wants for the Pink. Haley basically tells her, I want $10 million. Georgina goes into this whole little story about your beauty and a woman knowing her beauty and knowing her worth and all this other stuff. But anyway, basically what Georgina tells her is that the offer expires after, depending on the election. And so she says, like, if Georgia tells Haley that even if Patricia Woodbine wins, and the referendum goes through, she has the patience and the money to be able to hold out for another referendum. She didn't know if Haley had enough money and stamina to do that. But Haley says, well, I'll see you at the election. And we leave it at that. So then we get to the funeral home with Lil Murder and Wody. And Wody is putting the little finishing touches on Big Teak. Because you remember the last episode, Lil Murder said that he's going to pay for the funeral, which he did. They talk about Rome, and Lil Murder is kind of being a little, it's melancholy. It's a whole melancholy. It's thick with being melancholy and sad. But basically, Wody tells him he had to do what he had to do to protect Lil Murder. because he wants Lil Murda to get out of the hood and make it. And he feels like Lil Murda has the talent to be able to do that. And he did what he had to do with Rome. He tells Lil Murda that Rome showed Keyshawn the tape, the video of him and Big Teak having sex. But they also throw up in the air that possibly maybe Rome had backups or something. They don't really know. But Wody said, whatever happens, I'm going to take care of it. Because like he said, he wants Lil Murda to get out of the hood. So, baby, we are getting ready for the reopening of the Pink. We've got Mercedes, Roulette, and Whisper. They are out here rehearsing. And, you know, what's his name? Uncle Clifford is talking a whole big old game. We see Diamond and Big Bone up there canoodling in the DJ booth. So apparently Big Bone is the DJ now. But anyway, honey, Haley asks Mercedes to show her the routine. Baby, Mercedes is really reeling from killing Montravius. And that's weighing heavy on her. And her arm hasn't healed. And she still can't hold and do anything like that because she's nervous and all those things like that. And she's flopping and popping every place. So Haley tells her, look, our main attraction is not ready. She shows Uncle Clifford that she's not ready. And baby, she says, well, we're going to go with our second choice, which was Keyshawn. And baby, when Keyshawn walked in the door and Diamond looked at her, you should have seen the way Big Bone looked at if looks could kill, Keyshawn would be dead the way Big Bone was looking at her. And I'm still kind of curious about what her story is. Because, you know, like I said, she keyed in on Montravius's ring back last episode. So I am curious if she thinks that Keyshawn now had something to do with Montravius's death. Because I think she's related to Montravius some kind of way. I don't know if she knows Haley, but I think she is related to Montravius in some kind of way. And she knew he was heading to Mississippi to find somebody. And I think she probably thinks it's Keyshawn. That's just a little prediction. Child, when Haley announced that Keyshawn was going to be the headliner, baby, her and Clifford was arguing so bad, Jesus. You could hear it through the walls. Roulette and Whisper were fangirling over Keyshawn. I bought your lashes. I want to grow up and be just like you, the ball of the thing, and all this other stuff. Baby, they get to going off in the Mercedes and, talks to Keyshawn, but basically welcomes her back to the Pink because basically they're both in the same situation. They both want to be out of the Pink, but they need the Pink to get out of the Pink. So, that's just it. So, Uncle Clifford is upset. He is upset because of the fact that he doesn't have control over the Pink like he used to. He's upset because his grandmother is in the hospital. He doesn't have all the information on her. He gets upset. He gets in his car and he starts crying. And through the rear view mirror, he sees old Beulah May, his mama. And Miss Beulah May reminds Cliff, don't fight the water. Just let it run over you. Don't try to fight against the water. Let it run over you. So basically, stop trying to fight things, trying to fight everything because all you're going to do is make yourself tired. Get on your back and let the water roll, roll with the water. Ebb and flow with the water. Ebb and flow what's going on. You don't have to fight against everything. And she reminded him that bitches don't cry, they get even. So basically he understood what she said. So baby, we finally get to Big Teak's funeral. And baby, they are putting all kinds of chains and stuff like that on Big Teak. They sent Big Teak off nice. Lil Murda, because remember when he was in jail, he was sending Big Teak lyrics. So I think in that little piece of paper that he wrapped up and put in his hand, I think it was a lyric that he had for Big Teak. So they're putting Big Teak in the casket. Everything is going pretty good. And then the OGs call Lil Murda over. And apparently Pico, because Pico flip-flop. Pico was flip-flopping between the gangs or whatever. But anyway, because you remember, what was it? Maybe episode 3, I think it was. You remember when the car came around Lil Murder's house, and it was Pico in the car, and they was congratulating him or stuff like that. But anyway, Pico was online, hollering and claiming the murder of Big Teak. What's happening is Lil Murder never said anything about how Big Teak died. Apparently, the police found Big Teak and assumed that it was someone trying to jack him for his car, and so they have just ruled it. They ruled it as a murder, but no one knew who killed him. So then Pico and his crew get online and falsely claim that they're the ones that killed Big Teak. The problem with that is the OGs hear it, and then they want him silenced. And who do they want to silence him? Lil Murder. They tell Lil Murder to handle it. So now we understand where Lil Murder gets his name, because apparently he's been knocking him out since he's been a little boy. And that's a conversation, if you go back to when him and Wody were talking, that's what he was talking about, the things that he had to do to keep his family fed. Child, we get back to the pink, and Mercedes and Keyshawn are trying to do this little routine, and baby, there go Mercedes flip-flopping around, and basically Whisper and Roulette are talking, and they're like, child, I'm not gonna be old and stuff like that, and flip-flopping around there, go be a stripper past her prime. And Whisper said, I can't watch this. This just like my grandmother trying to figure out the internet. I hollered. I just hollered. But anyway, Roulette talks to Whisper about getting with Terrence because Terrence wants to spend a lot of money to have sex with Whisper. And Whisper is like, she thinks she's down with it, but she's not sure. But Roulette convinced her that, hey, you talking about making $20,000. I think that you can do, 2 stacks. I think it's like $2,000. For $2,000, you can do it. So, baby, meanwhile, while Mercedes is flipping and flopping up there, she gets a call from Terica. Apparently, Shell done woke up from her drunk stupor, and I guess Terica told her that she had an abortion. So Shell is all in her high horse. She's got her ass in her head, and she's talking about how dare you do this, and she hasn't have a guardian and all this other stuff. But Mercedes, rightfully so, had to remind her, listen, your butt was passed out drunk. I was the only one sober, be able to handle what was going on. And, Shell goes back, well, I'm her mama. She says, wait a minute. She says, when Terica needed you the most, you were nowhere to be found. She couldn't depend on you, but she can depend on me. I will be glad when these two women realize that they need to work together to parent Terica. Shell is going to be the one to do the daily thing, but Mercedes is going to have to back her up. Also, Shell needs to go to AA or something because her drinking is completely out of control. Because once again, Terica is having to drive that woman home. I thought Terica was 16 years old. Terica is 14 years old. Shell, you ought to be ashamed. I would throw you up under the jail. Get yourself together because you got a child that you have to raise. You made the decision to raise that child, so you need to get your butt up out that liquor and that Moscato or whatever it is you over there drinking and get it together. And Mercedes, you're going to have to get it together too. Both of y'all are going to have to parent this child with the best that you have to offer her at the time. Period. I can't believe that old drunk lady let that baby drive her home. A mess. A mess. So we see Corbin. He's in the cotton field. He's trying to get the irrigation system working. And so he gets a visit from Uncle Clifford. And basically Uncle Clifford said, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so Uncle Clifford tells him, because about Patrice, he said, all you got to do is buy Patrice out. Patrice don't really want to be in this race. Patrice is just doing it because she thinks that there's some power or something in it. But Patrice likes money. And if you give Patrice enough money, she'll drop out of the race. So Corbin, listens to what he says. He listens to what he says, and he, basically, because Patrice is just easily finessed by the power of money. You give Patrice enough money, she is definitely going to take that money, child. So we get back to Whisper and Roulette. So Whisper has agreed to have sex with Terrence. And baby Terrence shows up, and he wants Roulette to leave. And Roulette's like, no, I'm not going to leave. She says, I'm not going to be in here in the room, but I'm not going to leave. So Whisper and Terrence have sex. It's basically cunnilingus. I think that's what they call it. It's basically oral sex. And apparently he doesn't like the way Whisper moans and groans when he does cunnilingus or whatever. And Whisper basically tells him, well, let me back up. Before that, she wants her money, so where she was supposed to get $2,000, he only gives her $1,000. She's pissed off. He's like, you didn't do it like I thought you should do it. You should be glad you're getting this money from me. And then she says, well, you ain't no good in bed. That pisses him off, and he grabs her by her neck, and he is really choking her out. He is choking her out until Roulette comes, and she puts the gun to her head. And we find out why she is called Roulette. That baby was playing Russian roulette with that 38 special with Terrence. Baby, she flicked it and put it up to her head. Click. I was like, oh, she ain't somebody to be played with, because she don't mind dying. And Terrence sees that she put it up to Terrence's head. Click. That's twice. Click. 3 times. She makes him get on. She makes Whisper take all his clothes off. She gets him on his knees. She clicks it again. Baby, she takes his clothes, his car keys. They get off and they drive off in his car and leave him up there. This Andre and Haley, I will be glad when there's a conclusion that comes to that. Just like I'll be glad when there's a conclusion to Keyshawn and Derek's storyline. But basically, Andre is feeling sorry for himself. Haley comes over with some moonshine. He's feeling so sorry, but Haley has to remind him, look, you know where your daddy is. I don't know who my mama or my daddy is. I spent time in foster care. They go back and forth. She gives him a pep talk, and they talk about the sexual encounter. Because apparently she gave him a check for $10,000. I guess that's for his campaign. Don't know. Anyway, they're boring to me. I just wish they'd just go on. So then we see old Mr. Pico comes out the convenience store. He runs out, walks out to the field. I guess that's where him and his crew meet to drink their liquor or do whatever. And who was behind the curb? It looked like a trailer. Little Murder. So Little Murder tells him, look, you out here claiming bodies, but you don't want the weight of the bodies. And, Pico's like, hey, man, I didn't do it. It was just, we were just, BSing online. Baby, he was begging. I got a son. I got a baby on the way. Man, let's talk about it. Shoot. I didn't realize he had like an assault rifle or machine gun, but he just lit poor little Pico up. Walked away. Next thing you know, his buddies get over there, and they find out that Pico is gone. Baby, Mercedes goes home so she could talk to her neighbor, Maine. In the middle of that, somebody, because I didn't realize that Maine is in the gang that Pico was in. And the gang finds out that Pico has been popped. And so Maine was about to go, and Mercedes was trying to remind him, look, let these folks that ain't got no ankle bracelet get out there. And so she sits down and she talks with him, and she just basically wants to know how you handle the fact when you have hurt somebody, you've killed somebody, how do you get over that? And he basically tells her you don't. You have to then do something do something good or do something that will cancel that bad deed out. He makes a move on her, and Mercedes is like, nah, this is not what I want. Uncle Clifford visits his mother's grave. He's crying because he is crying and praying that Miss Ernestine doesn't pass away. He talks to his mother, apologizing for not visiting her grave like he should. He admits to her that he is failing. He's losing the club. Miss Ernestine is sick. He feels like all of that is his fault. He prays for Miss Ernestine not to die. Meanwhile, you see Pastor Woodbine. She is online. She is doing her praying. And I will be honest. She's playing that. The actress that is playing Patricia Woodbine and the acting in around her thing. She's overacting that. It's rubbing me the wrong way, the way she's overacting that. But anyway, she's online and people are sending money and she's doing all this praying. And then she gets the pledge for $10,000. Honey, she get to hooping and hollering and doing all kinds of stuff. And she gets offline. Her secretary tells her, I don't know who sent it, but they sent a message to catch me outside. I guess referring to the Catch Me Outside girl. But anyway, it's old Corbin. And first she tries to finesse him with stuff of the Bible. But honey, Mr. Corbin knows the Bible just like she knows the Bible. And he gives her money and tells her to drop out of the race. And so she's like, oh, drop out the race? He says, you drop out the race, there's going to be more money where this comes from. So she gives him a look. I don't know if she's going to drop out of the race or not. But she does give him a look. So then the last couple of things we see Roulette. She takes old Terrence's car to the chop shop to Duffy, and she tells him she wants her bust down. So I guess she wants her fee for bringing in his car. I guess they're going to chop it up, sell it for parts. I don't know exactly what they're getting ready to do with the car. I didn't understand what bust down meant. If y'all know what bust down meant, please put it down in the comments because I don't know. Duffy, once again, is trying his hardest to get with old Miss Roulette. Miss Roulette has just been playing hard to get. She says she wants her money. I guess it's money. That's what I'm going to assume, that it's money. He asked her where is she going to be. And she said, down at the valley, honey. You know the rest. I guess, with the theme song. Anyway. And she walks out. She goes outside and it's raining. But she checks her 38. And she still sees the bullet in there. So we understand why roulette is roulette. And we understand why murder is murder. Baby, the last little scene we have is Little Murder. He gets in the booth to record a song because I guess he's inspired after he is killed. Baby, we look down at his hand and in his ring. And baby, it's just, he's got droplets of blood everywhere. And it just pans to his eyes, and you see his little nose flare, and I guess he's about to drop a hot 16. So, baby, that was the episode. Overall, I guess for me, it was dark. It was a dark episode. Everything that was going on was dark, melancholy, death-ladled. It was just dark. But I loved it. It was consistent in the thing. The pacing of the episode went well. I mean, I like the fact that you were jumping back and forth and we got a lot of information about some of our side characters. We also understand how Roulette got her name and how Lil Murder got his name. My gosh. And also we see with death looming because Miss Ernestine is in the hospital and no one is trying to give him any Uncle Clifford any information about how his grandmother is doing. Did y'all watch the episode? Tell me what y'all thought of the episode, y'all. Because it was a lot of information. I wanted to try to give this in a shorter video, but the information was just too much. It was a lot going on. Tell me what you thought of this episode. Have you been watching P-Valley? Am I watching for you and you are enjoying these reviews? Please hit that like button. Give me a comment. Let me know how y'all felt about how Roulette got her name and how Lil Murder got his name. Now, I will tell you I was upset with Lil Murder because he had to show face for his gang, but he know good and doggone well that Big T killed himself. And he killed this man basically for no reason other than the fact that he was being braggadocious online. Mm. All right, y'all. This is Pamela. Thank you so much for watching my reviews. I see y'all watching. So please make sure you subscribe. The subscribe button is down there. Leave me a comment. Let me know how you felt about this episode. Tell me hi. Anything that's good. As always, people, I will see you at the next episode. We're going to see what's going to happen or what's going to be the backlash from all of this murder. And from Roulette and her side hustles. How is that going to affect the Pink? The other thing that I'm interested to see is Big Bone and how she is going to interact with Keyshawn. Because I think she thinks that Keyshawn has something to do with Montravius' death. I'm also curious about what is going to happen. How are we going to end this with Derek and Keyshawn? I need some answers. I need some conclusions for that. All right, people. And as always, bye-bye.